Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Outer Rim Cantina. My name's Alan, and today I want to talk about the first chapter of Star Wars The High Republic, Light of the Jedi, that was just revealed yesterday thanks to IGN. Since the release of the first High Republic novel has gotten delayed until January, we were graced with the first chapter of Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule. In it, we get introduced to Freighter Captain Hedda Cassette and her ship, the Legacy Run. We also get a bit of background on the era in the prologue, which describes this time period as one of peace and expansion of the Republic into the Outer Rim, with the Jedi Knights being the main police force of this new frontier. Since it is a period of expansion, many people are traveling to the new territory to seek fortune and make new lives for themselves to get away from the overcrowded core worlds. Because of this, many freighter pilots are carrying people to the Outer Rim and making use of brand new hyperspace lanes. The first chapter of Light of the Jedi really focuses on hyperspace, its dangers, and Captain Cassette's dislike for it, even though it is critical for expansion into new parts of the galaxy. We've seen some new canon content begin to focus and expand hyperspace into something more than just a way to get from point A to point B. It started with the Holdo maneuver in The Last Jedi, and some explanation of hyperspace in the Thrawn novels, as well as the hyperspace traveling whales in Star Wars Rebels, and again when we saw the hyperspace jumping technique used by the Vulcan in The Rise of Skywalker. I think all of these different mentions of hyperspace have been leading up to an overall explanation and expansion of what hyperspace is, which is something we've never really seen before, even in Legends. The concept of turning hyperspace into something more than just a way to travel around the galaxy gets me even more excited for what's going to happen in the High Republic series. Going back to the first chapter of Light of the Jedi, the climax of the short story happens when the crew of the Legacy Run encounters some kind of object drifting in the hyperspace lane. Captain Cassette notes that how something like that is mathematically impossible because of how much work goes into mapping out the hyperspace lanes, and specifically mentions that the particular lane that they're in is one of the safest in the galaxy because it's being used so much. Regardless, the captain takes control of the freighter, which is an older ship that is well past its service years, and tries to avoid the collision. The captain, who we learned earlier on was a member of the Malastare Solus Joint Task Force and flew an Incom Z-24 fighter that was nicknamed the Buzzbug. These details become important near the end of the chapter because it lets us know that she has plenty of years of experience with flying to be able to avoid debris in a hyperspace lane. Captain Cassette avoids the debris just barely, but as she attempts to maneuver the large old ship back into position, the strain becomes too much on the ship and it begins to break apart. The captain initiates emergency procedures and locks down the different sections of the ship where all of the passengers are just before the cockpit ruptures and kills everyone inside. The chapter ends there, and the IGN article goes on to explain that the disaster of the Legacy Run is going to be the catalyst for the rest of the events in the High Republic era. Basically, when the Legacy Run splits into pieces, those pieces go flying out of hyperspace at super speeds and can end up anywhere in the galaxy and can do just a drastic amount of damage. The disaster that follows the destruction of the Legacy Run will lead to the Republic calling on the Jedi Knights to assist in the quelling of chaos, and even investigate how an accident like the Legacy Run could even happen. I was already excited for the High Republic era when it was announced, with it being a never-explored part of the universe in a time before the Clone Wars, when the Republic was most prosperous. Now, however, with the release of the first chapter of the first High Republic novel, I'm even more excited to see what these stories will hold. I was a bit concerned with it only taking place 200 years before Episode 1 instead of the 400 or 500 years that was rumored earlier in the year, but I think it's going to work out fine. Just as long as they focus on the new characters and new stories, with only having maybe one or two cameos from Yoda sprinkled throughout multiple books and comics. It will definitely be cool to see Yoda before he trains any of the other Jedi in the prequels, but I don't want the whole series or even a large portion of the series to revolve around him. I would much rather have like 95% of the stories devoted to all of the new stuff. With that being said, I would love to know what you think of the High Republic and the first chapter of Light of the Jedi. If you haven't read the full chapter yet, I will leave it linked down in the description so you can go check it out for yourself. That's all I have to say for now. January cannot get here soon enough, so I can get my hands on this new Star Wars material. I guess I'll just have to settle for waiting for The Mandalorian in the fall for now. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like, as those really do help a small channel like this, and consider subscribing if you want to see more Outer Rim Cantina content in your subscription feeds every week. That's all the time I've got for today. I hope to see you back here on Thursday for another Star Wars video. Until then, may the Force be with you.